Platform, Get Noticed in a Noisy World by Michael Hyatt. Picture this. A young writer has just finished what she believes is her masterpiece. Every sentence has been polished until it shines. Every word carries weight. She's poured her soul onto these pages, crafting a story she knows the world desperately needs to hear. With trembling hands and a heart full of hope, she sends it off to literary agents. Then something incredible happens. Not one, but two respected agents write back. They're enthusiastic, they love her book, they're impressed by her proposal, they're absolutely willing to represent her work. Her dream is coming true, until it isn't. Because then comes the sentence that changes everything. We can't represent it. Not until you have social media followers numbering in the thousands. Wait, what? Confused and heartbroken, she does what many of us would do. She reaches out for answers, writing an email to Michael Hyatt, a giant in the publishing world she's never even met. Her question echoes the frustration so many talented people feel today. Doesn't a good book stand on its own anymore? Are writers now doomed to spend most of our time just hunting for blog subscribers? Hyatt's answer was direct, brutally honest, and it captures the reality of the world we're living in right now. The answer to her first question? No. A brilliant product, a groundbreaking idea, a beautiful song. None of it stands on its own anymore. And the answer to her second question? Yes. You absolutely must be proactive if you want your voice to break through the noise. If you've ever felt like you have something important to say or sell, but it feels like you're shouting into the void with no one listening, this summary is for you. Today, we're diving into Michael Hyatt's game-changing book, Platform. This isn't just another business book. It's actually a blueprint, a step-by-step guide to building your own stage, turning on the spotlights, and attracting an audience that will stick with you through your entire journey. By the end of our time together, you'll understand the two-part secret to success in our modern world, and you'll have a practical framework to start getting noticed. Not by being the loudest person in the room, but by being the one worth listening to. Let's dive in. Here's how things used to work. Success was about being picked. A publisher had to pick your book. A record label had to pick your song. A TV network had to pick your show. These gatekeepers held all the power, deciding whose voice deserved to be amplified and whose would remain silent. But here's the thing, that world is gone. Michael Hyatt spent decades as the chairman of a major publishing house, so he witnessed this seismic shift from the inside. He saw countless brilliant authors, artists, and innovators get turned away. And here's what hurt the most. It wasn't because their work wasn't good enough. It was because they didn't have a platform. So what exactly is a platform, anyway? Hyatt defines it beautifully and simply. A platform is the thing you stand on to be heard. It's your stage. But today, that stage isn't made of wood or concrete. It's built of people. It's constructed from connections, followers, and fans who have gathered around to hear what you have to say. It's your blog, your podcast, your social media presence. It's the sum of all the ways you connect with your audience. Hyatt argues that in today's impossibly crowded world, success comes down to a simple two-part equation. A compelling product plus a significant platform. You need both. A great platform can't rescue a terrible product, and a brilliant product can easily disappear without a platform to showcase it. He shares a quote from marketing legend David Ogilvy that perfectly sets the stage. Great marketing only makes a bad product fail faster. So where do you begin? You start with the product. You start with what Hyatt calls wow. This is the first and most crucial part of the journey. Before you can build a stage, you need something worthy of putting on it. Hyatt is almost relentless on this point. There's absolutely no sense in wasting your precious time and energy building buzz around something that's just okay. The secret to success, he insists, is to deliver something truly great, something genuinely compelling, a wow product. What does that actually look like in practice? Hyatt points to one of the greatest masters of wow in modern history, Steve Jobs. He recalls watching the legendary 2007 keynote where Jobs unveiled the first iPhone. It wasn't just a presentation. It was a performance, almost a religious experience. And in it, Hyatt saw 3 profound insights that changed how he thought about creating remarkable products. First, create products you would personally use and love. You could feel Jobs' genuine passion for what he was holding. He called it awesome, incredible, even magical. He wasn't selling something. He was sharing an experience he was personally excited about. Hyatt challenges us to turn that question inward. If you're a speaker, do you truly believe your message can change lives? If you sell something, would you enthusiastically recommend it to your best friend? If the honest answer is no, you're just trying to meet a quota. Second, create products that solve problems in unexpected ways. Before the iPhone, cell phone manufacturers were basically saying the market was saturated. There was nothing truly new to build. Then Apple walked in and reinvented the entire category. They didn't start with the technology they had. They started with a dream of what a phone could be, then went searching for the technology to make it happen. They refused to be boxed in by what had always been done before. And third, create products that exceed your customers' expectations. As Jobs demonstrated each new feature, the crowd erupted with genuine applause and excitement. Apple executed its vision with stunning simplicity and elegance. It wasn't just good enough. It was as good as they could possibly imagine it. But here's the beautiful part. Wow doesn't have to be about cutting-edge technology. Hyatt shares another equally powerful story about a man named Blake Mycoskie. In 2006, Blake was traveling through Argentina when he noticed something heartbreaking. Many children had no shoes. This simple observation sparked an idea. He returned to America and founded Tom's Shoes, built on a revolutionary model. For every pair of shoes sold, the company gives a new pair to a child in need. By 2010, Tom's had given away over 1 million pairs of shoes. For many of these children, it was the very first pair of shoes they had ever owned in their entire lives. One teacher, watching children receive their Tom's shoes, said, "I can tell you, these children will not sleep today. They will be talking about those shoes the whole night." That, Hyatt says, is also wow. He explains that every wow experience, whether it's an iPhone or a pair of shoes for a child who's never owned any, shares common elements. It has surprise, exceeding our expectations in delightful ways. It has resonance, touching the heart in ways we didn't anticipate. It has transcendence, connecting us to something bigger than ourselves. And it has evangelism built right in. A wow experience is something you can't help but share with others. But even with a brilliant wow idea, it's surprisingly easy to lose your way. We've all been in that meeting where a big, exciting vision is born. The energy is electric, almost tangible. But then, in the next meeting, reality starts creeping in. Budgets get tighter, deadlines get shorter. Resources prove more limited than we hoped. The vision gets slowly dialed back, compromise by compromise. Hyatt calls this dangerous phenomenon the drift. He shares a personal story that perfectly illustrates this concept. Years ago, he and his wife went snorkeling in the crystal-clear waters off Maui. They were completely mesmerized by the beautiful underwater world beneath them, lost in the moment. But when he finally lifted his head to check their position, he gasped in shock. A riptide had silently carried them more than a mile out to sea. The shore looked impossibly, terrifyingly far away. They had drifted without even realizing what was happening. This, he says, is exactly what happens to great ideas. Mediocrity is the natural state. You don't have to do anything special to drift there. The current carries you automatically. Taking a stand for greatness, on the other hand, requires real courage. It requires constantly reconnecting with that original vision and refusing to settle for good enough. Once you've genuinely committed to creating that wow product, you need to give it a name and package it in a way that truly connects with people. Hyatt says the title is your #1 marketing tool, bar none. Great titles, he explains, are what he calls PINC. They do at least one of 4 things. Make a compelling promise like The 4-Hour Body. Create intriguing mystery like Heaven is for Real. Identify a pressing need like the book Fearless, or clearly state the content like College Hunks Hauling Junk. And just as importantly, you have to wrap that wow in beautiful, compelling packaging. People absolutely do judge a book by its cover, which is exactly why packaging is where the war for a consumer's mind is often won or lost before they even open it. So you've done it. You have a compelling product, perfectly named and packaged for success. This is the what in Hyatt's success equation. But now comes the second, equally critical part, the who. This is where we shift from creating the message to building the stage. This is where you prepare to launch into the world. And the very first step in this new phase is entirely mental. You absolutely must accept personal responsibility for your success. Hyatt tells a funny story about his daughter, Michaela, who was making French fries and casually asked her mom to watch them for her. Her mother, busy with her own work, replied firmly, "Michaela, I'm not babysitting your French fries." The lesson hidden in that moment is profound. You cannot ask someone else to babysit your dream. You can't hire out your passion to someone else. No one will ever know your product better, care about it more deeply, or have more skin in the game than you do. You are now the chief marketing officer of your own brand, whether you wanted that job or not. With that responsibility fully shouldered, the next step is to think bigger, much, much bigger. We're constantly told to be realistic, a voice that quickly becomes our own internal critic holding us back. Hyatt directly challenges this limiting mindset, sharing the inspiring story of legendary football coach Lou Holtz. In 1966, broke and unemployed with an uncertain future, Holtz sat down and wrote a list of 107 seemingly impossible life goals. He wanted to have dinner at the White House, meet the Pope, become the head coach at Notre Dame, and win a national championship. It was pure fantasy on paper. Yet, to date, he's achieved 102 of those impossible dreams. Why? Because the simple act of writing a dream down transforms it into a goal. It makes it real and gives it power. This leads directly to one of the most practical parts of the preparation phase, creating an elevator pitch. An elevator pitch is a short, compelling summary of what you offer that you can deliver in the time it takes to ride an elevator, roughly 30 seconds. In the online world, where attention spans are even shorter, this skill is non-negotiable. It forces you to achieve clarity about what you're actually offering, to see your product from your customer's perspective rather than your own, and it gives you a powerful tool to enroll partners who can help you succeed. And as you prepare to launch, you need to assemble what Hyatt calls your pit crew. Just like in professional car racing, you are the driver behind the wheel, but you won't get far without a skilled team keeping you on the track. This crew might include administrative help to handle details, an agent to represent your interests, coaches to guide your decisions, or even a publisher to help get your product to market. The solo entrepreneur myth is exactly that, a myth. You can't do this alone. One of the most powerful tools in your launch toolkit will be endorsements. In a world with essentially infinite options, we rely heavily on the opinions of people we trust. An endorsement provides crucial third-party validation and social authority. It dramatically reduces the perceived risk for a potential customer and makes it so much easier for them to say yes. Whether it's a simple like on Facebook or a glowing quote from a celebrity in your field, endorsements are the currency of modern marketing. This entire preparation phase is really about building a rock-solid foundation for your platform. It's about getting your mindset right, your tools organized and ready, and your team assembled and aligned. With this foundation firmly in place, you're finally ready to start the actual construction. You're ready to build your home base. Hyatt introduces a simple but remarkably powerful model for your online presence. He calls it the Simple Presence Framework, and it consists of 3 distinct parts. First, your home base. This is a digital property you actually own and control, like a blog or a personal website. It's where you direct all your traffic, because it's the one place online where you make the rules and own the relationship with your audience. Second, your embassies. These are places you don't own, but where you have a registered profile and maintain a regular presence, like Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. You're essentially a guest on someone else's property, engaging in conversations that happen there. Third, your outposts. These are places you don't own and don't have a regular presence. Instead, you simply listen carefully. You use tools like Google Alerts to monitor conversations about you, your brand, or your topics of interest happening across the internet. The most important of these three, Hyatt insists firmly, is your home base. If you are genuinely serious about building a sustainable platform, that's where you absolutely need to start. And for most people, the beating heart of that home base is a blog. Why a blog, you might wonder? Because static websites are like brochures left sitting in a warehouse where nobody goes. A blog, on the other hand, is a living, breathing space. It's where your best thinking lives and evolves, where you can create fresh content that makes people want to return again and again, and where you can start meaningful conversations with your growing audience. Hyatt offers a wealth of practical, hard-won advice on blogging, learned from writing thousands of his own posts over the years. He says the first non-negotiable rule is to create the content yourself. You can hire a ghostwriter for a book if you need to, but absolutely not for a blog. Readers can sense authenticity from a mile away, and if you're not the actual person writing, they will know something's off. Your personal voice is the entire point of the exercise. To make the process less daunting and more consistent, he strongly suggests using a blog post template. His own proven template has 5 key components: a strong lead paragraph to immediately hook the reader's attention, a relevant image to pull them in visually, a personal story to create emotional connection, a scannable main body using lists and bullet points for easy reading, and a thoughtful discussion question at the end to invite genuine conversation. The goal isn't delivering a monologue from on high. It's starting a dialogue with real people. He warns against the most common blogging mistakes that absolutely kill traffic before you even get started. Not posting often enough, because frequency equals visibility in the algorithm. Posting too often and sacrificing quality for quantity. Writing posts that are way too long when you should aim for around 500 words. Or being too unfocused and trying to write about everything. A tight editorial focus consistently leads to higher traffic over time. And perhaps his most surprising insight is about the often neglected About page. He discovered that his About page was consistently one of the top 10 most visited pages on his entire website. When people discover a new blog that interests them, it's one of the very first places they go. They want to know who is actually behind the words they're reading. So he says, make it great. Write it in the first person to create connection. Start with your readers' priorities rather than your own ego. Tell them clearly what to expect from your content, and point them directly to your very best posts. With a strong home base established and humming along, it's time for the next exciting phase, to expand your reach. And this is where Hyatt does something interesting. He completely redefines a word that many creative people absolutely hate: marketing. He declares, with a bit of dramatic flair, that marketing is dead. The old marketing was about shouting your message at people, whether they wanted to hear it or not. The new marketing, he insists, is about building a tribe of people who genuinely want to be there. Drawing heavily on the influential work of Seth Godin, he defines a tribe as a group of people connected to one another, connected to a leader, and connected to an idea bigger than themselves. Building a tribe isn't about generating quick transactions. It's about building lasting relationships. It's no longer about exploiting a market for profit. It's about serving people who share your passion and values. This represents a profound shift in thinking. Marketing is no longer primarily an act of promotion. It becomes an act of leadership and generosity. Social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook are the primary tools for this expansion phase. At first, Hyatt himself was deeply skeptical of Twitter. It seemed silly and trivial, honestly. But he soon realized its surprising power. It forces you to be concise and clear, which actually makes you a better writer overall. It helps you stay genuinely connected with your audience. It creates consistent traffic back to your blog. And most importantly, It gives you a direct line of communication to your tribe without any gatekeepers in between. He provides a detailed, step-by-step guide to getting started on Twitter, from setting up your account properly to learning the unique language of hashtags and replies. But his most valuable advice is about how to grow your following authentically rather than through manipulation. Don't even think about trying to cheat the system by buying fake followers or using aggressive automation software. Instead, share genuinely valuable content. Be generous with your attention and retweets. Post frequently enough to stay visible, but don't flood your followers' feeds. Keep your posts short enough to be easily retweeted by others. And practice what he calls strategic following, intentionally connecting with people in your industry who share your interests and values. His advice for Facebook is just as strategic and thoughtful. He strongly recommends creating a clear distinction between a private personal profile, which should be reserved for real-life family and close friends, and a public fan page designed for your wider audience. This prevents your personal space from being flooded with noise and requests, and it allows you to maintain your sanity while still effectively connecting with your growing tribe. Across all these various platforms, maintaining a consistent brand is absolutely vital. Use the same name, the same logo, the same headshot, and the same branding statement everywhere you appear online. When people land on one of your profiles, they should instantly recognize it's you without any confusion. But the most important rule for expanding your reach, the philosophy that ties everything together beautifully, is what Hyatt calls the, quote, 20-to-1 rule. It's a simple ratio with profound implications. For every one marketing withdrawal where you ask your audience to buy something, attend an event, or support your cause, you must make 20 relational deposits. These deposits are pure acts of generosity, sharing a helpful resource, thoughtfully answering someone's question, promoting someone else's work without expecting anything back. Social media is essentially a social bank account. You can only make withdrawals if you've put far more in than you ever plan to take out. This naturally leads us to the final and perhaps most rewarding part of building a platform, to engage your tribe in meaningful ways. It's one thing to have followers counting up on a screen. It's another thing entirely to have an engaged community of people who actually care. The number one place this genuine engagement happens is in the comments section of your blog. Hyatt actively encourages this by ending virtually every post with an open-ended question and using a comment system that allows readers to reply not just to him, but to each other, creating conversations. He sees himself not as a lecturer standing above his audience, but as the host of an ongoing dinner party. His post is merely the appetizer. The main course is always the rich conversation that follows. As the host, it's his responsibility to keep that conversation civil and productive. He created a formal comments policy that clearly lays out the ground rules for participation. He welcomes spirited debate, but absolutely insists on mutual respect. He reserves the right to delete comments that are snarky, personally offensive, or completely off-topic. This creates a genuinely safe environment where people feel free to disagree passionately without being disagreeable or cruel. This also means learning how to handle criticism, which will inevitably come. Hyatt breaks critics down into 3 distinct types. First, there are true friends, who genuinely have your best interests at heart. Their criticism, though it might sting initially, is actually a gift that makes you better. Second, there are honest critics who simply disagree with your perspective or approach. They aren't malicious at all, and their differing perspective can actually enrich the conversation for everyone. But the third type is the unhealthy trolls. These people have an agenda beyond the conversation. They want to lure you into an ugly fight for their own entertainment. They taunt, they mock, they provoke. Hyatt's advice is simple and absolute. Do not feed the trolls under any circumstances. Engaging them only makes them stronger and gives them exactly what they want. The best thing you can possibly do is ignore them completely and continue serving the people who are there for the right reasons. To engage effectively with your true audience, you have to be actively listening. You have to monitor your brand across the internet. Using simple tools like Google Alerts, you can know within minutes when someone mentions you or your work anywhere online. This allows you to respond quickly and appropriately. If someone says something positive, you can thank them personally. If they say something negative or have a problem, you have the opportunity to enter the conversation, solve their problem, and potentially turn a bad experience into a wow moment. He shares a powerful cautionary story of U-Haul completely missing a Twitter complaint, which then snowballed into thousands of negative impressions and significant lost revenue, all because they simply weren't listening to what was being said about them. Finally, Hyatt addresses the question many creators are almost embarrassed to ask: is it actually possible to monetize your blog without selling your soul? He says yes, absolutely it is. Art and money aren't natural enemies. He outlines 3 primary methods: selling advertising space on your site, promoting affiliate products you genuinely use and believe in yourself, and selling your own products like ebooks or courses. The key to doing this with integrity is to only offer things that are completely consistent with your brand and will genuinely add real value to your readers' lives. From creating a wow product all the way through to building a loyal and deeply engaged tribe, Platform lays out a clear, highly actionable path forward. It demystifies the entire process of getting noticed in our noisy world. But Hyatt ends the book with one final, powerful story that brings everything together. He talks about attending a Tony Robbins seminar where, on the very first night, they were calmly told they would be walking on fire, barefoot, over 12-foot lanes of scorching hot coals burning at hundreds of degrees. He was absolutely terrified. But he had promised himself to play full out, so he lined up with everyone else. When his turn came, he took that first step onto the coals. He doesn't remember much of what happened after that, only the incredible feeling of exhilaration and possibility when he reached the other side unharmed. Building a platform, he says, can feel exactly like that. It can be overwhelming and genuinely scary. What if you fail publicly? What if people don't like you or your work? What if you're not good enough? But just like firewalking, the secret is simply to start. To take that crucial first step. Because once you do, you'll figure out the rest as you go. What I find so genuinely powerful about Michael Hyatt's message in Platform is its profound sense of empowerment. The book was written at a pivotal moment when social media was rapidly moving from an interesting novelty to an absolute necessity, and it perfectly captured the spirit of that new era. For generations upon generations, creative people were completely at the mercy of gatekeepers. You had no choice but to wait patiently to be picked. Hyatt's core argument flips that entire script. You no longer have to wait for anyone's permission. You can pick yourself. This represents a monumental shift in thinking about creative success. It transforms the artist, the writer, the entrepreneur from a passive applicant hoping for approval into an active architect of their own success story. The tools needed to build a stage and gather an audience are now accessible to literally anyone with an internet connection and the willingness to do the work consistently. This message is actually even more relevant for you today than it was when the book was first published over a decade ago. The specific principles Hyatt lays out for building a blog are the exact same principles that build massive followings on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, or whatever platform comes next year. The technology keeps changing, but the fundamental human dynamics of tribe building do not. The most enduring lesson for me personally is the 20-to-1 rule. It's essentially a philosophy of digital generosity in an age of digital noise. In a world that constantly screams, "Look at me, buy from me, follow me," Hyatt's strategy is refreshingly different. It says, "Let me help you, let me add value to your life." By consistently providing genuine value, by making those 20 relational deposits for every single withdrawal you make, you build something far more valuable than just a following. You build trust. And in our noisy, skeptical world, trust is genuinely the rarest and most precious currency of all. A platform built on authentic trust isn't just a stage for self-promotion. It actually becomes a genuine community of people who care. So how can you apply these ideas right now, today, before you even finish reading this? I'd suggest 3 simple actions you can take immediately. First, start with wow. Think about something you're genuinely passionate about. It could be your art, a hobby you love, or an idea you can't stop thinking about. Now ask yourself this specific question. How could I make this experience just 10% better for someone else? How could I add one small element of surprise, delight, or unexpected value? Don't think about building an entire business yet. Just focus on creating one small wow moment for one person. Second, plant your flag online. Go online right now, today, and buy your domain name, yourname.com. It costs less than a couple of pizzas and takes about 5 minutes. This is your digital home base. Even if you don't build anything elaborate on it for a year, the simple act of claiming your space is a surprisingly powerful psychological step. It's a declaration to yourself and the world that you're taking your own platform seriously. Third, practice digital generosity, starting immediately. For the next 7 days, commit to following the 20-to-1 rule. But here's the twist. Only focus on the deposits. Don't ask for anything at all. Instead, find 20 opportunities to give value without expecting anything back. Share another creator's work that you genuinely admire. Answer a stranger's question in an online forum. Write a thoughtful comment on someone's blog post or video. By focusing solely on giving for 1 week, you'll start to build the foundational habit of a true platform builder. That was a look at Platform by Michael Hyatt. We've touched on the main ideas and frameworks, but this is honestly one of those books where the real value lives in the detailed step-by-step instructions and specific examples. A summary like this can give you the blueprint and inspiration, but actually reading the book is like having the master builder walk you through the construction site himself, pointing out exactly what to do at each stage. It's filled with practical tips, helpful checklists, and valuable resources that turn these big ideas into manageable daily actions you can actually complete. If you've ever felt that what you have to offer is being lost in the noise, if you've ever felt invisible despite having something valuable to share, I truly believe this book is the practical guide that will show you exactly how to make your voice heard. You can find a link to the book in the description below. And if you found this summary helpful in your own journey, I'd be genuinely grateful if you'd like this video and subscribe to the channel. We explore the wisdom of the world's most impactful books right here, and by subscribing, you ensure you won't miss the next one. Let's keep learning and growing together.